Part 1, just one lie. I never meant to lie to Vanessa Dot. It started as a stupid joke, a passing comment at a bar when we first met. She had asked what I did for work, and I, tipsy, nervous, and trying to impress her, casually said, I dabble in investing, some real estate. Nothing major. I wasn't broke. I had a solid IT job, paid my bills on time, and had some savings. But I definitely wasn't flying first class or buying condos in Miami. Still, something about the way Vanessa's eyes lit up when I mentioned investments made me lean in just a little. Enough to seem interesting, successful, not just another guy in a button down shirt. We met at a rooftop birthday party in the city. A mutual friend. Loud music, overpriced drinks. Vanessa stood out. Tall, confident, dark curls, and darker eyes. She looked like someone who expected to be around money. The kind of woman who used the word portfolio, unironically. When she said she worked in fashion merchandising and had wasted too many years on broke guys with big ideas and no follow through, I laughed and replied, Don't worry, I follow through. That's when the lie was born. Fake it until something at first, it was harmless. I didn't correct her when she assumed I owned my apartment. I let her believe I traveled for business, when really I was just remote working at my cousin's. Place in Phoenix for a week. Our first months were intense, in a good way. Constant texting, late night calls, weekends in bed with takeout and Netflix. She'd gush about how refreshing it was to be with someone motivated, someone serious. I never outright said I was rich, but I let her think it. And that was enough. I started dressing sharper, brushing up on business lingo, reading financial blogs just to keep the illusion alive. She'd tell her friends I was in tech and property. I'd just nod dot one night. She looked at me across a table at a sleek downtown restaurant and said, You're not like the others. You actually have your life together. And I smiled. I liked who I was in her eyes. The apartment tour, the real tipping point, was the apartment Vanessa had always wanted to live in, a high-rise. She said elevators and concierge desks turned her. One Saturday, while walking past a luxury building near the river, she jokingly said, If you ever move here, I'm moving in. I laughed. But something in me clicked. I didn't have the money to live there, but my friend Jordan did. Well, his dad did. Jordan lived in a 2-bedroom corner unit with wraparound glass and minimal furniture. And he was out of town for 3 weeks. So I did something incredibly stupid that I told Vanessa I was closing on my new place. Then I brought her to Jordan's apartment. I had her meet me in the lobby. I greeted the doorman like I owned the building. I gave her the tour like I paid for every inch of it. She stood on the balcony overlooking the river, beaming that night. She said she'd never been happier. I should have told her, right then. Instead, I made a copy of Jordan's key dot, and for the next 2 weeks, I pretended it was home, cracked in the marble. The lie didn't explode. It cracked. Slowly. It started with small things. Vanessa asked about my mortgage, and I fumbled. She asked if I wanted to host a dinner with her friends, and I panicked. I made up stories about renovations, travel delays, business emergencies. Then Jordan came home. I scrambled. I told Vanessa I had to move out temporarily for a gut renovation. I said I was staying in a rental short term, working remote. To her credit, she didn't push, but I could tell. She was starting to wonder, the real me, still there? You might think I'm some manipulative con. But the truth is, I really loved her. That was the worst part. Because every time she'd look at me like I was her future, I felt sick. Every kiss, every plan for the life we'd build, it was all built on a foundation of sand. I wasn't planning to keep it going forever. I told myself I'd eventually come clean. Maybe after a year. Maybe after I'd saved more. Maybe after I became the man I was pretending to be. But life doesn't wait for maybes. The message that changed everything, one Thursday evening. As I was getting off the subway, I got a text from Vanessa. A weird question. Who's Jordan? My stomach dropped. Before I could respond, another message. Do you rent your place from him? Or are you not actually the owner? I stared at the screen, frozen. Then she sent a third. Please tell me the truth. I called her immediately. She didn't answer. The confrontation the next day, we met at a park near her place. She was calm. Too calm, she handed me her phone, showed me a DM from a mutual acquaintance who had seen her Instagram story from my apartment. Isn't that Jordan's place? I tried to explain. I tried to say I didn't mean to lie. Not really. But it just got out of control. She listened, and she said something. I'll never forget. You didn't just lie about money. You lied about who you are. And I don't even know how much of what we had was real. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just walked away. Part 2. What the truth cost. I didn't sleep at night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. The calm, the disappointment, the quiet way she said, "You lied about who you are." Not angry, just done. I kept replaying everything, every step where I could have stopped, every chance I had to come clean. I told myself I was buying time, protecting her from the truth until I could live up to the fantasy. But that was just another lie. When I told myself the fantasy was never for her. It was for me. Vanessa went silent. I tried texting the next morning, got no reply. Tried again in the evening. Still nothing. 3 days later, I got a one-line email. I need time. Don't contact me. That was it. No closure. No breakdown. Just space. And silence. I didn't know how to fill it. The fallout begins. I thought maybe it would end with Vanessa, but lies rarely stay contained. A week later, my friend Chris called me out of the blue. Dude, what the hell is going on? He said, Vanessa unfollowed everyone. Rachel said she's telling people you scammed her? Scammed? I repeated, shocked. Chris paused. Man, she told them you pretended to be someone you're not. That you used someone else's apartment. Lied about your job. It's all over her group chat. The pit in my stomach widened. It wasn't just between us anymore. From private to public, I opened Instagram. Vanessa hadn't posted anything directly, but the clues were there. Cryptic quotes, tagged locations, old photos removed. Then I found it, a close friend story. I wasn't in her close friends list anymore, but someone sent me screenshots. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Ladies, stop falling for the performance. Watch the consistency. Big words, empty bank accounts, no names, no direct accusations. But in her circle, everyone knew. And suddenly, so did mine. The reputation. Game overnight, I became that guy, the one who faked success, the liar. The fraud. Friends stopped texting back. Someone followed me quietly. Others just gave me a weird, distant energy. I could feel it at every birthday party, every meet. That shift in the room when I walked in. Nobody asked directly. But everyone knew, and I couldn't even blame them. What? Do you say, what was I supposed to do? Post my own statement? Hey guys, I only half lied about owning property. I thought about damage control, maybe writing some big confession post on social media, getting ahead of it. But every draft I wrote sounded like an excuse. And I hated how performative it all felt. Eventually, I just stopped trying. I shut everything down, social media, group chats. I deactivated it all and started going straight home from work. Avoiding people like they had a disease, which in a way, they did. They had the truth. Then came the email 2 weeks after our last contact. Vanessa emailed me again. The subject line was just closure. It was short, direct, brutally honest. I'm not writing to forgive you. I'm not writing because I want to talk. I'm writing so I can stop thinking about this. You made me feel like I was crazy for asking questions. You made me believe in a version of us that wasn't real. You didn't just break trust. You manipulated it. I don't hate you. I don't even wish you harm. I just hope, for your sake, that someday you'll stop lying long enough to figure out who you really are. No. Sign off. No name. Just the truth. And it stung more than anything. My job found out. I don't know how. But the gossip leaked into work. My manager, Ava, called me into her office one morning. She didn't say much, just asked how I was doing. Asked if everything at home was stable. It wasn't an interrogation. More like a check-in, but I could see it in her eyes. She knew something, or thought she did. After that, things shifted. I stopped getting invites to client-facing projects. Colleagues who used to joke around with me now kept conversations short. It was subtle, but unmistakable, like I had failed a test nobody warned me about Dot. And in a way, I had Dot losing the mirror. The hardest part wasn't the judgment, Dot. It was not recognizing myself anymore. Before Vanessa, I thought I was a decent guy. Flawed, sure, but not malicious, not cruel. Just figuring it out like everyone else. But after all this, I wasn't so sure. How do you go back to being normal after being exposed like that? How do you trust your own reflection when it's been built on borrowed glass? An unexpected message 3 months after everything fell apart. I got a DM on a platform I had forgotten. I still had got. It was from a girl named Leela. We had gone on one date a year before Vanessa. She said, "Hey, this is random, but I heard about what happened. Just wanted to say I've been there. I dated someone who lied about his job, money, everything. I didn't get closure. I never confronted him, but I always wondered what made people do that. Dot, if you ever feel like explaining, I'd listen. No judgment." I stared at that message for a long time, not because I wanted to date her again, not even because I wanted to explain. Part 3. The mirror doesn't lie after Layla's message. I didn't respond right away. I kept opening the app, rereading her words like they were written in another language. No judgment. That part stood out. I hadn't heard those words in months. I was so used to people looking at me with suspicion, or worse, pity. The idea that someone, even someone from my past, was willing to hear me out without twisting the knife. It caught me off guard. And for the first time since everything imploded, I thought maybe I do need to talk. Coffee, confession. Clarity, we met in a quiet coffee shop downtown, neutral territory. Layla smiled when she saw me, but didn't hug. Me, just a polite nod and a, "Hey." I sat down across from her, unsure where to start. But she made it easy. So she said, "What made you pretend?" I didn't deflect. I didn't joke. I just told the truth. I told her how it started with one small exaggeration, how that turned into a performance, how good it felt to be admired, how I believed deep down that if I just became the version of myself she thought I was, maybe the lie would become real. Got Leela listened. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she said something I didn't expect. "You weren't pretending to scam. You were pretending to feel worthy." That hit harder than anything Vanessa ever said. Unfollowed a few days after our coffee. I got curious. I checked Vanessa's profile again. It was public now. She clearly moved on. New photos, new people. She looked happy. She'd also removed every trace of me. Every picture, every tag, every story we'd shared. Gone. Like I never existed. That's the part people don't tell you about being found out. It's not just the punishment, it's the erasure. You become a ghost in someone's life. A glitch. They edited out. But maybe I deserve that dot, something to build with. I started JOURNIG dot. At first it was just scattered notes. Confessions I'd never make out loud. Then it became something more. Thoughts, reflections, questions I didn't have. Answers to dot. It was Layla who suggested I write the full story. Not to get sympathy, she said, but to own it. So I did. I wrote the whole thing. The lie, the apartment, the fallout. I didn't post it anywhere. But it felt like reclaiming something. Like dragging the monster out of the dark and saying, "Yes, this is mine. I did this." And maybe that's where honesty starts, not with others, with yourself. The job slipped. Away 6 months after everything went down. I was called into another meeting. Ava didn't mince words this time. Budget cuts. Team restructuring. They were letting me go. No mention of the rumors. No hint that it was anything but financial. But I knew. I left with a small severance package. A cardboard box of desk things. And a silence so deep it rang in my ears. Another bridge burned. Another consequence I couldn't undo. My parents found out. I had managed to hide most of it from my family. We weren't super close. Holiday phone calls, the occasional visit, but my younger sister, Kelly, eventually called and said, "Mom said Vanessa reached out." What the hell happened? I sighed. She what? Sent her a message. that you didn't want to interfere, but thought you might need support. That stunned me that Vanessa had reached out to my mother, not to destroy me, not to expose me further, to make sure I wasn't alone. And just like that, the guilt came flooding back. A birthday with no one, my birthday came. I didn't plan anything, usually. I'd go out with friends, dinner, drinks, loud laughter in public places. But this year, nothing. Two people texted. One was Layla. The other was my bank. I bought a slice of cake at a gas station. Took it home, lit a single candle, and sat on the floor of my apartment. I thought about texting Vanessa. Just say thanks for what she did with my mom, but I didn't because I knew what that message really was. Her final act of kindness. And I deserve more. When honesty hurts one night. I had dinner with Layla again. She looked at me thoughtfully and asked, "Do you think you'll ever stop being that version of you? The one who lied?" I stared at my plate. "I don't know," I said. "I want to, but part of me still misses him. The confident guy, the successful guy, the one who didn't have to explain himself." She nodded slowly. "You don't need to become someone else to be valuable," she said. "You just have to be someone real." I didn't reply, but I felt something shift. A job offer. And then the choice a few weeks later, I got a message from an old contact at IT. He'd heard I was looking and said there was a position opening up. Nothing fancy, but solid. Want me to recommend you? I hesitated, because this time I couldn't pretend, no inflated title. No fake story, just me. Broke, humbled, honest, and for the first time in a long time. I said yes. Part 4. A version of me that doesn't lay the new job started on a Monday. It wasn't glamorous. Just a mid-level IT support role at a mid-sized company in the industrial district. No sleek glass offices, no catered lunches, no ping pong cables or stock options. Just rows of desks, humming servers, and co-workers who wore sneakers without irony. And weirdly, I liked it because no one there knew anything about me, not the lie, not Vanessa. Not my reputation. I was just Eric from tech, the guy who fixed printers and reset passwords. For the first time in over a year, I didn't feel like I was wearing a costume. Starting over isn't linear at first. I thought I would rebuild everything cleanly. New job, new apartment, new version of myself. No lies, no exaggeration, no second life. But it wasn't that simple. There were days I'd still catch myself about to say something curated, like mentioning a place I used to live and almost describing Vanessa's old building instead of my own, or glossing over the job gap in my resume by calling it a sabbatical. I had to stop mid-sentence and correct myself. I actually got laid off, and I had a lot of stuff to figure out. It was awkward, unpolished, but honest. And weirdly, no one flinched. A familiar face one afternoon. I was in line at a sandwich shop near the office when I heard a voice behind me say, "Eric?" I froze, turned around, and there she was, Rachel. Vanessa's best friend. The one who used to give me side eyes during brunches. The one I was sure had hated me long before she had a reason to. Now she looked surprised. Not angry. Just surprised. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again," she said, arms crossed. Neither did I. I replied quietly. For a moment, we stood there, awkward silence growing. Then she said, "You look different." I nodded. "I am." She told me what I didn't know. Rachel pulled me aside and told me she wasn't going to yell or throw a drink in my face. Instead, she said something I didn't expect. "Vanessa went through hell, Eric. You broke her. But she doesn't hate you. She actually blamed herself for not seeing it sooner." That gutted me. She continued. "She's doing better now. She's with someone new, stable, honest, not flashy." I nodded. "That's good. She deserves that." Rachel studied me. "I won't pretend I understand why you lied, but I can tell you regret it. Just don't do it again, not to anyone else." "I won't," I said, and meant it. Learning how to be boring in my past life, I made everything sound exciting. I was always working on something big or heading into a big meeting downtown. Now, my life is dot 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 ordinary work, laundry, watching shows I actually liked, reading books because I wanted to, not because they looked good on a shelf. And slowly, something strange happened. I started to feel peace. I didn't realize how exhausting the performance had been until I stopped doing it. Now, I was just living. No show. No script. Then Vanessa texted me. It came on a quiet Saturday. No preamble. Just, hey, I heard you ran into Rachel. She told me you seemed better. I'm glad. I stared at it for 5 minutes. Then replied, I'm trying. I hope you're well. A 2 seconds later, I am. Take care of yourself. That was it. No drama. No guilt trip. No reopening of wounds. Just kindness. The kind that doesn't ask for anything back. And it was enough. Redemption isn't loud. No one throws a party when you stop lying. There's no confetti. No applause. No viral moment. It's quiet. Like the first time someone trusts you without hesitation. Or when you tell the full truth and don't flinch. Afterward. Or when you go to sleep knowing everything in your life is actually yours, not borrowed, not faked, not stolen. It's not flashy, but it's real. And real is finally enough. Part 5. Telling the truth out loud. Dating again was the last thing on my mind. But it happened anyway. Her name was Zoe. We met through a friend at work who dragged me to a trivia night. She was quick with a sarcastic joke, cursed like a sailor, but somehow still charming, and I absolutely crushed everyone at movie questions. I didn't plan to. Like her, but I did, and that terrified me. Because how do you tell someone you're not the person they think you are before they've even had a chance to imagine who you might be? The conversation I couldn't avoid 3 weeks in, when Zoe asked. Her question. It wasn't accusatory, just curious. So what did you do before this job? My stomach dropped. I could have lied. It would have been so easy. Some sanitized half-truth. Something vague like consulting or freelance work. But I didn't. I told her everything. Not all at once. Not in some dramatic confessional monologue. Just honestly. Bit by bit. I told her I lied to someone I loved. That I created a version of myself that wasn't real. That it cost me my relationship, my job, almost my sanity. And that I'm still rebuilding. She didn't say anything right away, but she didn't leave either. At least you're not a crypto bro. That's what she said after I finished. I blinked. She grinned. I've dated worse. We both laughed. Then she got serious. You messed up, but you owned it. And it sounds like you're not that guy anymore. I nodded slowly. I'm trying really hard not to be. That's all anyone can do, she said. And just like that, the weight I'd been dragging behind me, it didn't vanish. But it felt lighter. Got closure. Unexpected and quiet 2 months after that conversation. I got an email from an old coworker. Someone I thought hated me. It said, I heard you're doing better. I won't pretend the way you left didn't suck. But I respect that you didn't ghost or double down. That's rare. Just wanted you to know I'm rooting for you. That short message meant more than I expected. Sometimes. You don't need everyone's forgiveness. Just one person's grace to remind you that you're not irredeemable. Letter I never sent you. Wrote one more thing. A letter to Vanessa. I didn't send it. Probably never will. But I needed to write it. You deserve the truth from the start. You deserve someone who didn't hide behind a version of himself. I broke something we can't get back, but I want you to know. I understand that now. And I'm sorry. Not just for the lie, but for stealing time we can't rewind. I folded the letter, sealed it in an envelope, and placed it in a box with a few other things I'd held on to from that chapter of my life. Then I put the box in a closet, not to forget. But to move forward. Looking in the mirror these days, when I look in the mirror, I don't see a fraud. I see someone who messed up, who hurt people, but who is still here, still learning, still trying. I still don't wear expensive watches. I still take the bus some mornings. I still don't have a corner office or a story that makes people say, wow. But I do have something else. Peace. And I wouldn't trade that for a penthouse. And if you're still reading this, maybe you've lied before too. Maybe you've built a version of yourself you can't maintain. Maybe you're afraid that if people saw the real you, they'd leave. I get it. But here's the thing. If you spend all your time pretending, the people who stay aren't staying for you. They're staying for the mask. Take it off. Even if it's ugly underneath, because someone out there is waiting to know the truth. And you deserve to be loved as you are, not as you pretend to be. Trust me. I learned that the hard way.